long time coming. I've been dreaming about this, so thank you for being here. I'd like to welcome my dear friend, Christy Cleaver, and fellow flutist. I like to say she brings the joy to my recital. We have so much fun talking with a little bit of playing included. So this has been a real joy. What we will be playing today is Telemann's Fourth Fantasy for solo flute. It was rare at that time for composers to be writing for solo instruments. He did it a little bit for violin, but violins with their double stops, they can play two strings at one time, giving two voices. The way he writes it for flute is he will have conversations, one phrase louder, one phrase softer, or he will have rapidly alternating passages between high and low, indicating two voices. So you may be wondering why I'm talking about a solo piece, which brings us, well, I have Christy up here, which brings us to the duet. Our teacher, our shared teacher, Sharon Sparrow in Detroit Symphony, and the piccolo player of Detroit Symphony, they're both pianists as well, great pianists, a lot of talented two people. And they arranged these duets with a second flute part, with harmonies that Telemann would have written. So that's what we will be performing today. Flute by Ibert has a bit of an interesting story for the start of it. A French professor, flute professor of the French Conservatory at the time, had just got done performing Ibert's concerto for flute. And there was a house party after that performance. And Ibert was there, and Marcel Moyse was there. And they came together and they said, well, you are here and I'm here. I feel like you should play something. And Ibert says, I have nothing for you to play. Grabs a couple glasses of wine, rumor has it, and goes upstairs. Maybe it helps the compositional process for the French, I don't know. Went upstairs, half hour later, comes down with the original version of this piece. And Moyse performed it then and there. Brilliance. The French Conservatory, every year they would have an exam piece at the end of the year that students would pass or fail. So Ibert had to make it more difficult than his original version, but it did end up being a contest piece for the French Conservatory. aha. So anyone who's been to my recital before and seen performances about town has certainly seen and heard Cynthia and knows how fabulous she is as a person and a player. So yeah. Highlight of my year. That's half why I do these recitals, is so I can listen to stuff. True story. Okay, so Otar Takishvili, affectionately known as Taktam, in the flute room. At the time, he grew up in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia. And at a young age, when he was in conservatory, on a whim, he entered a contest to compose the Georgian national anthem, and he won. And it was actually their national anthem until 1991. And at the time, Russia was really, you kind of went one of two ways musically in Russia. You did what they want or you didn't. And what they wanted simple harmonies. They didn't want anything complex or too challenging to the ear. And they wanted traditional sonata form, traditional form in all the pieces, no coloring outside the lines or anything like that. And they wanted Russian folk tunes incorporated. And if you didn't do that, you got called in for some questioning. So he was actually one who followed that. So he follows those rules pretty literally in this piece. Without getting too dark, the second movement I really feel is very reflective of what's going on in the Ukraine today. It is what Cynthia and I both feel when we think about that. That's all I'll say about that. 3 years ago did not happen. It was scheduled for just before COVID came out, so pleased to do this now. It is a piece by a living composer, so it has been really, really neat to email back and forth with her a little bit. It's something you don't normally get to do with Bach or Telemann or anything like that, so that's been kind of an interesting treat. So I would like to welcome my friend, this is Troy Anderson. He will be our narrator today. Some of you may know him or have seen him. He is director of bands at Kellogg'sville Schools and a trombone player, drum player, keyboard player, you name it, he plays it. A couple of things. And then also Dr. Vanessa Hoyt, talented clarinetist and conductor, and repairs instruments. So we were together at Meyer Music. So fun to play with both of them. And then of course we have Cynthia. Getting to the piece, this is actually a 6-movement work. So we will be doing 3 movements out of 6, perhaps the other 3 next year. And it centers around the writings of Langston Hughes. So he was smack dab in the middle of the Harlem Renaissance. He lived in Harlem at the time. So these are his stories and musical incorporations of what was happening at that time. The first movement, the Grand Duke Mambo, it was a club in the red light district, and he worked there as a busboy for 25 cents an hour. A night, 25 cents a night. And this is from actually his memoir, and it is a description of a fight that broke out at that club. The second movement is a brief poem describing the sounds of the city of Harlem at night. And the third movement reflects his time in Paris. Many African American artists and scholars fled to Paris during this time, to escape, of course, segregation and the oppression and lack of appreciation, frankly, that they received in the United States. And that wasn't the case in Paris. So their art was appreciated, and they could have all the intellectual conversations and contributions that they so richly deserved. So this third movement is music reflective of his time in Paris.
Grand Duke Mambo. One night there was a terrific fight in the Grand Duke. It began like this. A little French danseuse named Annette was going to have a child. Still, to make a living, she had to come to work every night, dance with the patrons, and drink as much champagne as she could in order to get her commission. But she was not well, and she shouldn't have been there. Of course, if she had had any other way of making a living, she wouldn't have been there. But she didn't have any other way. Feeling badly, no doubt, Annette began to be very spiteful of those clients who didn't think that they could afford another bottle of champagne. So one night, the owner of the place asked her not to come back anymore. He was French, and she was French, and they spoke the same language fluently. So Annette said some very unpleasant things to the owner. He called an attendant to eject her. Annette would not go. The attendant laid hands on her and pushed her, struggling in her satin evening gown, toward the door. As she passed the last table, Annette seized a patron's champagne bucket, ice, bottle, and all, and flung it straight at the proprietor at his cash desk behind the bar. Whereupon the attendant slapped Annette to the floor with one blow of his hand. Then it was that Florence, the famous entertainer, that same Florence who snubbed millionaires nightly, arose from her table near the orchestra to defend the poor little French danseuse in her troubles. Florence wore an evening gown of gold and spray of orchids in her hair. She swept across the floor like a handsome tigress, blocking the path of the waiters who, at the bidding of the management, rushed to eject the little danseuse. Florence said, "Don't touch that woman. She's a woman and I'm a woman, and can't nobody hit a woman in any place where I work. Don't put your hands on that woman." By that time, the little danseuse had risen from the floor and seized another ice bucket, which she sent whirling into space. Customers dodged behind the tables. The The orchestra struck up, tucked me to sleep in my old Kentucky home to drown out the noise. A waiter did lay hands on the danseuse, but Florence laid hands on the waiter. Then the Negro manager laid hands on Florence, and a battle royal began between the women and those who sided with the women, and the management and those who sided with the men. Summer night. The sounds of the Harlem night drop one by one into stillness. The last player piano is closed. The last Victrola ceases with the jazz boy blues. The last crying baby sleeps, and the night becomes still as a whispering heartbeat. I toss, without rest in the darkness, weary as the tired night, my soul empty as the silence, empty with a vague, aching emptiness, desire, needing someone, something. I toss without rest in the darkness until the new dawn, wan and pale, descends like a white mist into the courtyard. jazz band in a Parisian cabaret. Play that thing, jazz band. Play it for the lords and ladies, for the dukes and the counts, for the whores and gigolos, for the American millionaires and the school teachers out for a spree. Play it, jazz band. You know that tune, that laughs and cries at the same time. You know it. May I? May we? Mein Gott, Pareche un rumba. Play it, jazz band. You've got 7 languages to speak in and then some. And if you do come from Georgia, can I go with you, young sweetie?
is basically a love story in 3 movements. The first movement loosely translates to I Wonder, where the flute in here, expresses repeated appeals to the object of his or her affection. Very lush and romantic movement. The second movement translates to I Believe, I Doubt. So he's kind of going back and forth in his mind, confident in her feelings or insecure in her feelings. So you'll hear calmer sections that are lush and romantic, and you will hear rapid groups of notes, which imitates his doubt and uncertainty. And then the third movement is titled Finally. So, at last, all is right in his world. Joyful bird-like passages and just lots of flowing notes for him. I think of him babbling his his love and his excitement to have his beloved in his life. So, Thank you so much for coming. I look forward to seeing you afterwards, and we'll get those cookies. They're really